What?
Well, I'm leaving.
John's walking out the door.
John, get back here.
My voice is carrying away.
John, no. Welcome to the Kindred Spirit Podcast, a show all about the board game Spirit Island. Here we'll talk about analytics and strategies within the game, as well as a plethora of other topics that can be found within it. You know who I am and you know who he is. I want to get into it.
Yeah, let's just go. Enough formalities.
Alrighty, we ended off on number 9 last time, so now we are going to get into the middle. This is the most murky. I have no idea what yours are going to be, so this will be fun.
Who started 9?
It will be my turn.
Okay.
It's my turn to go ahead and lead us off this time.
Cool.
So, I have at number 8. Sorry, we didn't technically announce the thing.
What are we on?
I don't know. Okay, number 8. For me, it is Volcano Looming High.
Okay. We weren't too different on Volcano.
Correct. For you, Volcano was number
10.
10. For me, it's number 8. Volcano Looming High. We did discuss this guy a bit. So, this guy, I'm really intrigued by the new stuff. And I'm going to rehash just a little bit of what we talked about. But I'm not going to preach at you the same way I did before.
Yeah.
I do really like this new idea of how he reaches his targets. I think the fact of moving only to mountains and then increasing your range is something we haven't seen before. I like the fact that you can give other people range so long as they started on a mountain. That's going to help a lot of other people in ways that I don't think they saw coming. I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, this guy has a lot of synergy with other fire users because he can give them extra energy based on how many exposed fire elements they have.
So wildfire.
Obviously, wildfire is going to be one, vengeance is going to be one, lightning will be another. So a lot of damaged people. So a lot of fast damaging people he's going to be helpful for with their energy gain. But hey, let's not forget that sometimes you just get a lot of minor or major power cards that just happen to have a fire element on.
It's just
so you
included.
can just get some energy out there. And hey, if it's not energy that you're giving, then you can also give them +1 range. I really do think that's cool. I love the fact that this guy has a card up his sleeve that he can just completely devastate. I think that's really cool. I think Explosive Eruption might be one of the coolest innate powers out there because to me, when I look at that, it reminds me of some of the lactic cheese that Serpent slumbering beneath the island can do with some of his
Theoretically.
Not this
I have
again.
yet to see it!
My point being, this is a really strong damaging ability. And there are many innates in the game from various characters that really got my attention, and this is one of them. So I really think that that's very unique. I love the thematic emphasis of this guy, Volcano Looming High.
Ooh, the art, too.
Kind of like a gargoyle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he's spectating people.
Like roaring into the sky.
I love how he stacks his presence on top of each other. So it feels as if your mountain is actually getting taller because you are actually growing in
And then
presence.
what happens? You erupt.
And then, yes, you can do more damage when you have more presence, and you can have more range if you have more presence, which is pretty cool. Let's not forget that when you use your plus range card on yourself, you can stack it with his special rule, Volcanic Peaks Tower Over the Landscape, which is you gain +1 range if you have 3 or more in the origin land. So on the arcade style of the board, you have 2 mountains on every single board. And with that card that I spoke of earlier called Boon of Mountains Fire, you can get +1 range. Then if you have at least 3 or more presence on your mountains, you can have +1 range. Collectively, you can have +2 range. +2 range is actually really decent.
It kind of...
You're going to cover...
It helps him because he's so stuck in mountains.
So he can only reclaim once, so just with his standard action. So you're not going to be playing Boon of Mountains Fire every time. So maybe every other 2 turns, you're going to have range 2. In my opinion, if you are on all the mountains and you have +2, I think you can pretty much hit every land in the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not really worried about
the range. Yeah.
Not really. He can put a lot of blight out there, but we're getting a lot of characters out here in Jagged Earth that really like blight. In the base game, we only had one, which was Wildfire.
Poor Sharp
But now
Fangs.
we're getting Volcano Looming High. We're getting Stones Unyielding Defiance and Vengeance as a Burning Plague as all people who love, like, and use blight as a function. And one of our thematic lists that I really want to try sometime is our Hellfire and Brimstone team, which is Volcano Looming High, Vengeance as a Burning Plague, Stone's Unyielding Defiance, and Heart of the Wildfire. That is like team damage and rock. I think it could be pretty epic. I think it would be very blight heavy. You will blight that land. But wouldn't it be fun? I think that'd be pretty cool.
I'm trying to get more comfortable with, like, being okay if you get a blighted island.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing. And like you were saying with these spirits, you can use blights. And so even if you turn the card over and it's not one of the better ones.
Blight hasn't really been a tool except for Wildfire.
Yeah. And it really is becoming one now, like you're saying, with all these spirits utilizing. So I'm thinking I'm not going to be too turned off by blighting the island.
So what does this guy add that's new? Well, we kind of already talked about that. Going exclusively on one land, the fact that he can go and destroy his presence and get it back.
That's not common.
That's not common. And giving range to people, that's really cool. I'll admit, he doesn't bring a whole lot of craziness to the table, but I'm really intrigued. This guy does really look different. And I am really
That one
excited.
eruption would be, that's the craziness.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. So this guy, everything he does is kind of similar to things we've seen already, but he has it collected in a arrangement that we haven't seen before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So confinement to a specific area, high damage, putting a lot of presence back, range buffing. These are things that we have seen, but not all together.
In
I'm
one
really
spirit.
excited to see how this works. There are many cards in this game in the major and minor powers deck that require you to have a sacred site. And that's hard for some people to get. This guy loves sacred sites. Everything he does
is a
sacred site. So when you go and target this guy with Entwined Power, where your presence count is his and his count is yours, if you're playing as Earth, that's a lot of defense right there. Just a fun thing
That's
to think
a lot
about.
of damage.
Wait, no, defense! No! But anyway, that is my number 8 Volcano Looming High.
I thought he would be higher for you.
Yeah.
If we're just, like, laying all the cards out.
He moves and behaves like a defender who's really an attacker.
Okay.
I think that's what's kind of
Because you
interesting
like
with him.
serpents.
Hey, let's not forget that this is 8 on my list.
It's the middle.
Yeah, that's the middle. Well, almost. We're getting close to the middle, but generally, if you break this up into groups of 3, 1 through 3, 4 through 6, 7 through 9, and 10 through 12, he's in the middle of that third grouping. So
Right.
decently in the middle.
Yeah, and my number 8 is Grinning Trickster Stirs Up
Oh.
Trouble.
Oh, so now we
we're
have
getting into
multiple crossovers
We
here.
do. I think I like the randomness. Again, I don't want to rehash on things we
Sure.
talked about, but I kind of like that randomness. At least it'll bring a new gaming experience every time I play
It
this
is
spirit.
very different.
You never know
yes.
what you're going to get.
This guy may be erratic, but he is replayable.
Kind of like memory, in a way.
Yeah.
And I like spirits that use tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the new ones we're talking about that Branch and Claw added. I think Strife, we were hitting on just really a 2-for-1, I think. Negates damage, and it also almost is a defend card. And because Trickster can utilize Dahan, based on the growth track, there's like push Dahan. So every turn, you get to move Dahan wherever you want to. It's not even a card play.
Right.
So it's not like you need to reclaim it.
Strife is like an interesting version of defense that lasts for more than one turn.
Right.
The thing that's cool about those tokens, Beast, Strife, Wilds, and Disease tokens, is that even if you put it in the wrong land, any one of these tokens will get used eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Beasts. I think them least of all, as far as guaranteed usage, but especially with Wilds, Disease, and Strife, eventually it will
be used.
Yeah.
And I do like the growth options. There's like
And it negates special incoming damage, like with Sweden.
True, yeah. Again, we were talking about how it's so powerful against Sweden. And I like when growth options have the pick too. So
I love that.
it gives a little bit more flexibility.
Don't you feel as if like you're faster?
Yeah.
Or really playing someone?
And you know me, I like to be able to be mobile. He has a move
Yeah.
a presence 3 away. So you can add a presence and then move another presence.
Right.
And so I like the flexibility. The randomness kind of excites me. But again, I haven't played it yet. So who knows? I could be like,
Right.
this
I'm
is
I'm
trash.
excited to see what finalized Trickster looks like.
Me too. We've gone over the cards of what those deal with. Basically, just add more strife, fear, and stuff. But it was something a little exciting. So that's why it kind of landed in the middle for me. It's like, I don't hate the playstyle, and
right.
doesn't add a whole lot new.
You can reclaim cards, move a presence 1 away, and then gain 3 energy, move a presence 3 away.
Isn't that nice?
That is actually pretty sweet.
If that stays.
Very mobile, yeah.
If that stays.
That's very awesome.
So it was something that really excited me. Didn't add a whole lot different, but I like the art too of just like this. Was it this animal or
creepy? It's kind of like that one creepy spirit from Avatar with the multiple faces.
Yeah. Oh, that thing's freaky.
That thing. I get that vibe from this guy. That thing was much scarier than this guy is. But the fact that he has multiple faces and he wears...
Yeah.
Like, does he switch faces? Does he put on another one?
Can you,
rotate
them?
Or does he have 3 heads like Cerberus, but they're just different creatures? It's just unpleasant to look at if you're a human going onto an island that you don't know about.
I'm thinking of the Hercules where stop copying the...
Will you stop it with the head slicing thing?
Because more kept popping up.
I know.
So, yeah, I don't want to rehash too much on Trickster, but that was why notched up a little bit higher on the list for me. So.
Alrighty, there you go. There are our number 8. On to number 7.
This is where it was getting very tough.
This is starting to get middle of the road.
Middle of the road. And
middle
I want to play all these people.
I know, and we do want to play all of them.
Many minds move as one.
Really? Well,
what do you think?
I say that because I really do think that you are going to like this guy. Because I know you had trouble with Fangs.
I had trouble with Fangs.
But look at what Many Minds does. He acts very much like Finder.
I don't think 7's a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
I don't think 7's a bad thing. I love just the theme of it, of this idea of a swarm of insects storming over the island.
That is so cool.
Again,
I like how you can see his true form in the multitudes.
Yes.
Whether it's flocks of birds, swarms of bugs, or schools of fish, perhaps. I think that's really cool.
It makes sense that then they don't do a lot of damage.
The differences between Many Minds versus Fangs, because obviously the elephant in the room is, oh, look, another beast user. Well, how does he stack up with the other beast guy?
Totally different.
So Many Minds, this guy is more about defense and getting beasts and being quick. Spawning beasts, skipping bad guy actions, but not really a whole lot of damage. He can do a decent amount of fear. So he is faster than Fangs, but doesn't do as much damage as Fangs.
Guess how many starting cards he has.
This is the only other character besides Finder that does not have a starting hand of 4. He has a starting hand of 5.
Which is when you need to reclaim, it is so nice. When having played Finder, you really can push it.
I understand that, yeah.
It's like, I don't need to reclaim every other turn.
Sure.
Or something.
Right.
Especially if you start gaining minors and majors and stuff.
Right.
So
what's really interesting to me is this is the first time we have anyone that can gather or push a token from lands 2 away instead of just adjacent only.
It makes sense, like this herd is coming.
I know. So this guy is faster than Fangs.
Yes.
But as far as per beast token, not as effective. Fangs can do more damage and do more stuff with singular beast tokens than this guy does. I think this guy's ceiling is actually higher than Fangs.
I think so too, because defense goes a long way.
But he can do more, but he loses a lot more. You have to kill so many of your own beasts to do that, which is fine. When I look at Many Minds move as 1, and I think of you, John, about playing this character, I really do think of him in terms of this is Fangs the way John would like him to be.
Oh.
This is basically what John's iteration of Fangs would be in order for John to like Fangs. Because I know that you do like Fangs'
Maybe that's why
mobility.
Mine's a 7 for me, because I'm thinking of Fangs.
Yeah. And I'm looking at him here, and you can skip phases. You can gather up to so many people. Look how easily this guy can add beasts. And not just add beasts, but add a lot of them. More than one of them.
For each beast, add a beast.
Right, up to 3, ever multiplying swarm,
that's
which
crazy.
is insane. And this isn't even a finalized card. It could be better or worse than that. Who knows? But even just that alone, that is awesome.
I think whenever you play Many Minds, you need to play with an event deck.
Yeah?
I think so.
You think so?
I think there's a stat like 60% of the event cards use beast tokens. So
there are a lot. A lot of them, in my experience, use Strife and Disease as well. Now, I'm really excited to see what new cards we get with this. What new fear cards, what new event cards, what new major and minor powers we're getting. Because we're getting like 35.
That's another thing. A lot of
like 30 minor powers, 20 major powers. That's like
and a lot of the branch and claw utilize the tokens.
They do.
So I do want to talk about the art, because whoever did this is incredible, of making this face out of all the flock of birds.
That.
I think
At first I didn't understand it, but then I had to look back, squint, and
like,
that's there it is. That's a face.
This is another great thing about this game.
I always thought that was
so
really
much
cool.
craft and hard work goes into designing these spirits, and I totally love that about Many Minds. So, and also fear generation, really high.
A lot of fear generation. Look at his beset and confound the invaders. Then, a dreadful tide of scurrying flesh. You can just remove X amount of people to skip that many actions and add a fear per guy that you do. Plus 1 damage as well for each guy that's removed this way. Which is really interesting, really cool. Your damage literally equates to how much beast you do. But this guy, to do 3 damage, will have to pull 3 beasts. For Sharp Fangs to do 3 damage, he only needs to pull 1 beast. So
They're different spirits.
Obviously, as far as pairings, I need to see a tag team combo of Many Minds and
I wonder
Fangs.
if they're almost like they're each trying to pull beasts in opposite directions or something. Do you think they'll butt heads at times?
You once asked me this question, and my answer to you was something along the lines of,
I think it's going to go a lot smoother than you think because it's like firing a weapon that someone else uses the exact same ammunition for. So instead of being you're taking mine, it's, oh, look, I can share this guy, I can share him, you can share him.
And beasts don't go away.
So let me go to your board
real quick and get you some beasts that you need.
You come to mine really quick and do some damage without having to kill your beasts. Because Fangs can do consistent damage with beasts without having to kill them. This guy that I know of, as far as what he has naturally, cannot do damage with beasts without killing them.
You're talking about Many Minds?
Many Minds, yeah. Now, yes, he can probably find Tiger's Hunting or another card that does damage with beasts or something. But point being, when you're early in the game, you're probably going to want to save up and get your horde going. And on the other way...
Well, you're using them for defense, because if you look at the highest tier of Beset and Confound the
but guess
Invaders,
what? Your defense is based on...
your Beast Bros.
Yeah.
So your Beast Bros are both defense and damage.
So you can only really do it for one, because if you use it for defense, you don't have much for damage.
Right.
And if you use it for damage, you don't have much for defense. Or unless you really spam them, then you might have enough for both for a few turns. My point being is that this guy and Fangs, their pros and cons are exactly perfect for yin-yanging. One guy is, I can do a lot with these guys safely, but I need to get them out there and quickly. The faster, the better. The other guy is, I can do a lot of things and I need to build them up. And until then, I could really benefit from having clear lands to grow my people without having to waste them on defense or having to waste them on offense. Now, luckily, you don't have to kill your guys for defense.
You don't.
So you can use Dahan here to help you, perhaps. This guy does not do damage nearly as much as he does defense. And Fangs is the exact opposite. Fangs does damage, but he does not do defense.
I like the fear potential where you can get up to 5
Both
fear.
of them are very fear...
Yeah. It makes sense.
Not fear crazy, but they're both pretty scary guys.
5 fear is a lot.
That is a lot of fear. And in our games as Fangs, he may have been second or first place for fear generation as
constant.
a whole.
Because it was constant.
Because it's constant. That's really cool.
And thing about mines, I like spirits with growth options where you can add 2 presents at one time.
Yeah.
Adds for quicker growth. You're boom, boom, boom. You're like all of a sudden 2. And then even the third option, add a presence and beast. I feel like other than reclaiming, you're always adding presence. Which is, you know me, I like fast growth.
Yep.
So this was not a slight. This list was so hard to make.
It was hard to make.
Really
it was fun and difficult.
Fun and difficult in all the right ways. But
in all the right ways, yep.
Because I was going from... Did you start from the most you want to play or the least? How did you start the list?
I started with my most, then my least, and then the middle.
That's
kind of like...
Ryan, we did the same thing.
Is that what you did too?
Yeah.
Well, it feels as if, like I said, the middle is the hardest part.
It was so hard
to predict. It falls where they lie.
I had my top 3. I'm like, I know I want to play these people.
I know my constants, and everything else I basically put down, and how do I feel with this? I'm not okay with this. Okay, maybe
7 could he could also been 5.
So do you think 5 through 8 could be very...
Yes, these was very
The reason
close.
that 5 is 5 isn't really as important as the reason why 8 is 8.
I think the middle is the middle for me. We just had to number them.
Yep. My 1 through 3 and my 10 through 12 are more sure than everyone else, than 4 through 9.
Yeah.
For me.
Agree.
But, yeah.
Anyway, your turn.
Anyway, so your 7 was Many Minds Move as one. My 7 is Many Minds Move as one. Perfect,
guys.
crossover.
I want to let everyone know we did not plan this out. We never talked about any of this.
Nope. I'm not sure. I think
how'd you keep it together? Nice job. You didn't.
When you said Many Minds, I was like,
Yes, quite.
So Many Minds. Now I get to talk about this guy. So I love Sharp Fangs. Sharp Fangs is somebody I really like. Many Minds Move as one is my number 1 character of the bottom 6.
Okay.
He doesn't do a whole lot that's brand new. Adding beasts, doing stuff with beasts. Mm-hmm. Here, I put a bunch of tokens on the field that are very specific. And then I can simply do a lot of things with those tokens that I just spawned. But this guy, he can do defense, he can do fear, he can do damage, he can skip phases. Guys, if you're not a veteran of the game, you will come to learn this, and if you are a veteran of the game, I think you will agree with this.
You already know.
The higher and higher the complexity and the higher and higher difficulty games you do, the better and better prevention is. Whether that is invader action prevention, this is damage prevention, anything that does prevention entirely. Because it's not about, oh, there's X damage coming in and I just lessened that damage coming in. You just got rid of all of it. And it is so critical on high difficulty games. In my opinion, if someone has invader action skipping capabilities, for me personally, that carries a lot of value into the high difficulty rounds. And this is somebody who can do it, but he can do it on any of the actions.
If you can stop an England build,
right,
that's huge. To prevent them from, 7 buildings in one land?
Yeah.
And when you get into the double build, like, if you can stop them.
But here's the thing, though, with a dreadful tide of scurrying flesh. It says that you can remove any number of beasts, and for each beast removed, you may skip the next action. You'd get 1 fear and you get 1 damage. Obviously, you're looking at the fear and the damage, but if you skip multiple actions in the same land, when it's late game and they are going to the same land twice, oh look, the invaders are going to jungles and they're going to coastal lands. Well, what if you had a coastal jungle that was both exploring and was, I don't know, let's say it was exploring and it was building?
Yeah.
Well, you can remove 2 beasts and get both of them. Yes, I know that you can use Year of Perfect Stillness from Earth to also get both of that.
There's also a major power that adds a bunch of fear.
And Paralyzing Fright does that too. My point being, this card is very good. It's fast and it's free. Yes, it costs you beasts, but this is your go-to for doing fear, for doing damage, and you can skip stuff. That's really, really important.
Hitting the pause button.
Now, here's the thing that's really important to know, though. That is a card that is not a innate power. And look at his reclaim abilities. In his current state, and I'm looking right now at a beta version that is not finalized, he does not have a reclaim 1 on his tracks, which means he can only do his damage once. This is what I meant when I talked to you about Fangs can do damage consistently.
Every turn.
Because this guy can do damage, yes, but it's from a card. Look, none of his other cards do damage.
Right.
None of them. Now, of course, you're going to be using Dahan, perhaps, because you can use defense
and you
very
don't
well.
want to get into a reclaim cycle where every turn I need to keep reclaiming. Like sometimes you do with lightning. That's not good.
So when we are talking about characters and people on this list that I haven't spoke of yet, even though John has, like, for instance, Lure of Deep Wilderness has yet to be mentioned on my list.
Yeah.
There are things that when John talked about his that I haven't mentioned on mine because there are angles that I wanted to save for later. And just like this, when John talked about Many Minds Move as one, there were still things I didn't talk about until it was my turn. Only because there was something that really grabbed my eye and I didn't want to put words in his mouth or steal his show when he was talking about it.
Sure.
One of those things that I really thought was interesting was Connect the Hive Mind. It's the exact opposite of something that we saw Fangs can do. Fangs has an ability where he can replace one of his presents with beast tokens. Connect the Hive Mind says replace one of your beast tokens with your presence. This means that you can upgrade a lot faster here and there with this card. And it also means that cards that give you beasts here and there can also be where you can get your presents. I thought that was really interesting because it's the exact opposite of what Fangs can do.
Yeah.
Also, his third growth option, you hit on it just a little bit at the end. This is a guy who can add a presence and a beast as his growth. Furthermore, he can also gather 3 beasts into a land. Just as a growth option.
From how far away?
From up to range 2. When he gathers people, they can travel over 2 places. That's a lot. So I really think this is really cool because if you look at Many Minds and you look at Sharp Fangs, I think if these two are in perfect concert, you can have an unstoppable combination. Why? Each one of them has a strength and a weakness with how they use beasts. This guy can move them, he can defend with them, but he has to really pay a high cost for using them for damage. Sharp Fangs can really use them for damage and stuff, but he just needs more of them. So what if you moved a beast with Many Minds, but you attacked with him as Sharp Fangs?
Yeah, what a combo.
What if you mixed them here? What if you mixed them there? What if you tag teamed one of them for movement, but the other one for damage? That thought really got me excited with this guy. And it really feels as if it's like one of those samurai movies where the student and the master at the end of the movie
fight
like
together,
fight together like back to back. No more as like authority and youngling or teacher and student, but more like peer and peer. And I think that these guys could like really have some fun synergies together. I know it may seem obvious, but I really think that the duality of these two could go together really well in exciting ways. And I really think that that could be really fun. I really think I can do well with this guy because Sharp Fangs I'm already really good with, or at least I have enough experience to say that I'm good with Sharp Fangs. And so it is not a surprise that this guy is someone who, yes, he doesn't bring a whole lot new to the table conceptually. But like I said, this guy is the number one of my second half.
But still number 7.
Yep. But like you said, 7's like almost smack dab in the middle, man.
We need to make like an animal team.
Oh, I know, right? This guy is just one of the members of Team Birdbrain.
Which is Many Minds, Finder of Paths Unseen, Downpour Drenches the World, and Lightning Swift Strike. That is all the birds, and I would love to get into some of these silly lists, some of these silly
thematic
teams.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. It'd be pretty cool. So, with that, we close out our number 7.
Top half done.
Top half done.
Bottom half? How are we doing this?
Oh, yeah, bottom half. Bottom half done. We're smart. Alrighty, we are now on to our 6s. Number 6. We are now on the top half. So this is where it's going to start to get good. The minutia and all the murky stuff is starting to clear out.
Yep.
We're still in the middle. 6 is the exact half of 12. So whether you consider this as this is starting to get good or this is the worst of your top 6, however you want to describe it.
No, it's starting to get good for me.
Starting to get good for you.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I think I'm leading us off on this one.
You are. This one's your turn.
This, for my number 6, Starlight Seeks Its Form.
What? I thought Starlight would be higher. Oh,
He's pretty high.
Okay.
6 is good, John. I love how you just said, no, 6 is really good. Starlight, what?
Well, I'm leaving.
John's walking out the door.
John, get back here.
My voice is carrying away.
John, I wish I could take a picture of your faces then. What?
I'm Lily.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Okay, so Starlight, wow.
They're the coolest spirit coming out. Are you kidding
What
me?
a character and what artwork. Emily Hancock. Oh my goodness.
Oh, you know the
Your
name?
illustration.
Look at you doing research, or does it say below?
It's on the board.
Well, I'm embarrassed.
But her illustration
Gorgeous.
on this is
Submit it somewhere.
easily, without a doubt in my mind, my personal favorite artwork I have seen in this game. Look at how the swirling light and the whites and the purples and the deep blues are like dripping from the sky
It's
and
gorgeous.
landing on the ground. It's so ethereal, so magical. It reminds me of the Northern Lights as well as like water somehow, like very flowy and wispy, and it's just absolutely stunning. I wish I could have this on my wall in like really high resolution, like HD quality. It's that good. And if you guys haven't seen this yet, just go on Google and type in Starlight Seeks Its Form. I know it might sound really like, come on, man, it's just a picture on a board game. This is gorgeous.
No, look it up.
It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
Pause this. Search it.
That's right. Are you back? Hey, welcome back.
back.
Don't you agree with what we said? Yeah. So Starlight Seeks His Form. What an incredible concept. I even had this idea of what could you do if you had to build your own spirit. That is what Starlight is. This is a spirit that is build your own. It is a custom spirit. Why? Because this is a star that fell onto Spirit Island. If you look at the lore for Starlight, it briefly talks about how maybe this is how some spirits came to be. That they fell to the earth, fell to the island, and due to like the magical essence of the island began to coalesce and bind themselves to the various elements that are on Spirit Island and then found their identity somehow and became a thing. So Starlight Seeks Its Form is so unique because this is a character that has an innate power for literally all 8 elements in the game. All 8 elements. This guy has 8 innates. It is insane. He has an innate
For air, for earth, for fire, for water, for plant, for animal, for moon, and sun.
We're not kidding.
It is ridiculous. So this means that you can go and play so many different kinds of cards throughout the game and trigger all sorts of these kind of abilities. I really feel as if the possibilities with this spirit are endless.
I don't know if you'll ever trigger all 8 in one game.
Not at once. Hey, maybe that could be a challenge for you.
Over time.
Hey,
Throughout the whole game.
someone grabbed Power Storm and Elemental Boon.
That's
or
true.
Something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what's cool about this guy, what's really unique, as far as someone that brings something new to the table, this guy might be the spirit that brings the most new
Breaks
to
the
the
game.
table. That kind of just completely shatters the formula. So let's not forget, though, that this list is not the top 12 of people who break the formula. Because this guy does break the formula, but that doesn't mean the formula that he does is something I'm guaranteed
It's
to
who you
love.
want to play.
Right. So this guy, I feel as if you can have 4 human players playing Spirit Island, and then all of you play Starlight Seeks Its Form, and completely be different. And that's part of the thing that's so awesome. This guy has so many growth options. This spirit has 3 options that he can pick every single turn. And he starts with 3, but he can unlock 4 additional ones. Furthermore, he has a choice of those additional 4 that I just talked about.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually 8, but they are paired in groups of 2. So for your first one that you get, you have to choose. Do you want the one on the left or do you want the one on the right? Whichever one you don't choose, the other one is locked for the rest of the game. So as you go and grow up, you're going to have to go and figure out what you need in this game, what you want in this game, but you're not going to perfectly be able to arithmetically go and definitively figure out what you need in your game. You're going to have to grow up and bind yourself to strategies. Do you want to be mobile? He can do that. Do you want to be energy gain? You can do that. Do you want to be strong? You can do it. Do you want to be fast? You can do that. For instance, if you wanted to go and be very major power card user, like if I approached you, listener, I said, hey, what do you want to be in this game? You said, I want to be someone that's really good on major powers. I'm like, okay, well, that means low card play, but very high energy gain, maybe some reclaim. Well, you can go and choose the various options that get you the most energy. Mm-hmm. So option 2 gets you 2 energy. Option 3 gets you 1, and option 5 gets you plus 3 energy. So if you did those ones, you can get plus 2, you can get 6 energy right there. And you can go and if you fully upgraded yourself, Starlight Seeks His Form could gain 10 energy in 1 turn. That is a lot. That's even more than
that the
Keeper.
Most? That's the most.
Not as much as Serpent.
Oh yeah, Serpent
can get 17. It's
What?
ridiculous.
What?
Because Serpent gets 12 naturally when he's fully upgraded.
That's what
and
I'm
he can
of.
pick 2
Right.
options, and his options can get him from 12 to 17
Insane.
with his growth options. But 10 energy is nothing to sneeze at. But what if you didn't want to be a major power user? Maybe you wanted to be someone who is very mobile. Well, you can do growth option 3, 5, and 7. Haha, 357. All 3 of those move a presence. 1 for range 1, 1 for range 2, 1 for range 3. So you could be incredibly mobile. So maybe you're only gaining 4 energy that turn because that's what you upgraded.
But you're
Maybe,
spreading out.
but you can be so mobile. So you can be like bob and weave. You can be like float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. So what if you wanted to have a ton of card play? Well, you can go down and naturally you get 3 card play from your card play track. But you can go and there is 1, 2, 3, there are 4 options for you to get additional card play. So what you can do is you can only have 3 of those in 1 turn at a time because your growth options, you can only have 3 per turn. But if you played any one of those ones, you could have 6 card play. 6 card play, guys. That's nothing to sneeze at. The hypothetical situations that I just described were ones if you just covered extremes of those 2 strategies. Guys, what if you wanted to mix and match? What if you wanted to do a little bit of both? Maybe you have 5 card play and 6 energy gain. That's really solid. That's really nice.
There's almost like no wrong choice
There's
to make.
no wrong choice for this guy, which is both...
It's just how you want to play it.
Which is how you want to play it. So if you asked me, well, this guy can be played in such a variety of different ways, so how in the world would you pick one? Because you want to make sure that you do something that's fun and enjoyable, but you also want to be useful to the team. I would caution you from saying just do something, anything, and make it work.
No, you gotta think it through.
This is a game that requires you to think, and that's kind of the fun. That's half of the fun, I think, is figuring out what you need to do, and then the enjoyment of executing your plan that you formulated in your head and doing it successfully. That's part of the satisfaction of this game. So if you asked me, how would I go and play this character? I would evaluate my team composition, and I would evaluate the enemy we were going up against, perhaps. And what do we need? What are we lacking? What can we really use?
We don't have a defender, Ryan.
Let's go do defense. So if you want defense, go the earth route. If you get earth elements, you can defend 6. If you get 3 earth elements, you can defend 6. Remember, guys, this spirit has 8 innate powers for each of the elements. And it's really cool. The air element lets you manipulate explorers and towns. The earth element lets you defend 6. The fire element allows you to get fear and damage. The water element lets you remove blight. The plant element is team buffing. It lets you choose a spirit and they gain a power card. The animal element lets you do damage with Dahan and push Dahan. The moon element allows you to gather explorers and Dahan. And the sun element gets you a lot of fear and it gets you a lot of reclaiming cards. So everything I just said,
there's no bad option.
You can mix and match. Do you want to be a damaging mobile Dahan user? Well, if you do, I would say go the air, the animal, and the moon route if you want that.
Sure.
But what if you wanted to be a damage-dealing defender? Okay, I would say water, I would say earth, and fire.
I want to be a controller. You know me, I like to play control.
If you want to be control, I would say moon. I would definitely say, I know you like Dahan.
Yeah,
I would say animal and maybe earth.
Yeah.
Because, oh look, animal and earth. Earth was defend and animal was damage with Dahan. Dahan and defense go great together. So I hope you guys can see now just how ridiculously flexible this guy is.
That's why I'm surprised.
That is why
6.
That is why he is dead middle of the road.
That makes no sense.
Because the reason why he is so great is the exact reason why he isn't. Because let's not forget the big elephant in the room. Actually executing your plan. Look at this guy's board. Is this intimidating or what? This is ridiculous.
If you thought Finder was intimidating.
This is crazy, guys. I'm not saying you can't do this, but I can see someone just fizzling out with so much. So much was being thrown at them. So much was, okay, if you thought this game was analysis paralysis enough with what you can do, with what your guy can do, what happens if you don't even know what your guy can do because you choose what you can?
I want to see some of those reviewers review Jagged Earth.
Right. So this guy, I think, might honestly have one of the highest ceilings of value. I can see someone saying that the learning curve for this guy is also very high. I think once you get to know this guy, you can really start to get that flexibility and negate some of the negatives that I just said. But while being able to do everything, pretty much, you might have some difficulty choosing what to do. Because unlike other people, when you know what you can't do, it actually makes it a little bit easier into figuring out what you can do and when you should do it.
But what
and
if you can do anything?
If you can do anything, that might make your brain just go, oh, no, I can't. Oh, and you might just fizzle out. Now, of course, I think that can be done with more efficiency the more and more you do it. But that is why he is perfectly in the middle for me. Because I think he can be just as effective in the right hands as he can be not effective in the wrong hands. So that is why I think it's pretty fair that this guy is smack dab in the middle.
Okay.
Furthermore, the last thing that I didn't comment on is the fact that this is someone who, very similar to other spirits, has access to gaining any element he chooses.
I was wondering if you were going to talk about that.
Unlike them, when you come across these various parts on his tech tree, you can get any element of your choice. That's cool. But here's the thing, though. You choose right then and there
and
what that
stuck.
element is.
And you are stuck with it permanently for the rest of the game.
Which is fine. There are other characters in the game that they can get any element all the time. Like whenever they uncover the spot on their board that says any element, that means from turn to turn it can be whatever they want.
Yeah, whatever.
Every single turn.
Your card play usually.
This guy, Starlight Seeks His Form, is one where you are setting yourself up for combos. What's interesting is that you have 4 of these kind of spots on your board that I just described. And every one of his innates, every single one is doable. Every single one of his innates that he has requires 3 elements to pull off, with the exception of Sun and Moon. Moon is a little bit easier at 2 because he's a spirit of the night, and Sun is a little bit harder at 4 because it's contrary to his nature. So it's still doable. It's just something he's not accustomed to. Point being, 3 is the main number for all of these innates. 2 for moon and 4 for sun. Now remember, you have 4 spots on your board that allow you to permanently fix one element to your choice. So here's the thing that's really interesting with this guy. Are you going to cement 3 of those elements as one particular element so that you can always go and trigger the innate? For instance, on my 4 that I have on my board, what if I did 3 of them as earth elements? That means my earth innate power, which only costs 3 elements, will trigger every single turn. Would you rather take one ability that is happening all the time? Or maybe will you split that up? And with your 4 spots, maybe you'll do 2 of them for 2 elements each, which means that you will need a card to still go and trigger those innates, but it's really easy. You only need 1.
Right.
So this guy is definitely dependent on the cards that he gets, the elements that he chooses.
You start off with unlimited options, and then
Right.
you kind of pigeonhole yourself.
Right, and all of his starting cards are
Moon.
Every single
That's
one of
it.
them. And their nature is for you to forget them, because this guy is binding himself to a strategy. So I am really excited to see what those strategies look like. I'm really excited to just get into this guy, to see what he can do. And when I look at this dude, he's the exact opposite of Shifting Memory. Shifting Memory is someone who can do crazy things because he's been around the block a while. Starlight can do a lot, but he's the new kid on the block.
It's funny you say that. I think Memory and Starlight would pair perfectly together.
I think they would go
Guess
really
who can
well.
give elements, and guess who needs a lot of elements with all these innates?
Those two.
Look at that combo.
I think it's fantastic. That's a great comment. And that's something I thought about too.
Old and new.
Old and new. It's perfect that the teacher spirit is really good as a pair with the brand newbie on the block.
And also good at giving power
Yeah.
cards.
I think that that's very thematic. I think it's really cool. It may be subtle to some, but I love finding these thematic
Yeah, and you were talking about
combos.
like the samurai master and
Yeah.
the apprentice. I can see that also here. I think
Mhm.
we should do one of those games as well.
That's cool.
I'll be Memory.
Oh, hey!
Have fun with that one.
Hey, well, do you know what I'll do? Grab damage!
That's true.
I'm still scarred by that game where I had like no cards.
Right.
Alrighty, so there we go. My number 6, Starlight Seeks Its Form. Alright, Johnny boy, what is your number 6?
Vengeance as a burning
Really?
plague.
There you go.
Again, I like what you said about just like 6 is perfectly in the middle.
Yeah.
Vengeance, I like token spirits. I'm like
Yeah.
starting to realize people that
I
can...
do like the token users.
The
I feel as if
token
that
users.
we talked about identity acceptance earlier.
Yeah.
And I feel as if these guys have like that in one additional stage.
And what's cool about Vengeance, I mean, we will both hit on the powers, but I like the one growth option, the Reclaim one, where you can do 1 damage per disease.
Yeah.
Which is like Wildfire. Wildfire is the only person before, Vengeance who
Yeah.
could do damage during the growth phase.
Which I remember at the time, I thought that was baffling. I thought that
Baffling.
was insane.
It is what makes Wildfire so cool.
Yeah.
Now we have Vengeance who could do the same thing, who spits out disease like it's their job.
Right.
It's so easy for them. Well, here's the thing we ran into, and we can just show you guys a little peek behind the curtain. We found multiple cards from print and plays and beta versions, so we're
Yep.
not totally sure. We got the gist of adding a lot of disease.
With the various iterations of the cards that Vengeance as a Burning Plague had, we were able to get the general vibe
Yeah.
and strategic gameplay style of this character. What's funny, though, is that every single time we found a new iteration of this card, it was different.
It was different.
So
we're like,
we didn't know at what point, how close to the finalized product
So,
do we have here?
because of that, it was kind of hard for me to rank them. So I'm like, I'll just
For
put
hype.
them in the middle for
That's
hype.
fair. That's
you know,
fair.
I don't really know what the card play is going to be. I'm going to stick with the board that we have.
Yeah.
I love the damage it can do in the fear.
Mm.
With epidemics run rampant, if the
Yeah.
target land has 2 disease, you can do 1 damage, and then as it ranks up, instead 1 damage per disease.
Right.
And if you're just spawning more and more disease, this person can be so destructive. And I do like that playing, because
Yeah.
lightning was one of my first favorites.
Yeah.
So I like spirits who can do some hefty damage and can
Yeah.
blow things up. I think that's
I
why
love
lore-
this mentality. I
Yeah.
love how dangerous and lethal
I
this
love
whole
the
vibe
art.
is. I was about to say, look at this artwork.
That face.
I really like this artwork.
It's this lizard.
I know. The only problem I have is I feel as if the ripples of the water or the whatever acid he's coming out would be rippling in a different direction. But that is so ridiculously nitpicky.
So nitpicky.
But look at the acid that's dripping off of his fangs, off of the gilded, spiked crest.
It's kind of terrifying.
He's like a crested gecko that drank steroids who bleeds acid.
Yeah, you're not just getting salmonella from them.
This guy looks seriously really awesome, guys. This artwork is phenomenal. I like the different colors on him. Look at the green and the orange and how striking that looks with the red.
Yeah.
Crimson, bright, bold red. And he's coming out of this steaming, bubbling cauldron of acid or poison, or maybe it's like one of those...
infect the lands.
Right. It's really cool. And the lore for this guy is pretty cool, too. And he's coming out of like this hot spring, maybe? I don't know. It's just really cool. It's really rare to see a spirit that has such a physical form.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's something that we see even in real life. We don't see rock giants walking the earth.
We
but
see
we
lizards.
do see lizards.
Yeah.
And so something is cool about having something tangible like that. I was kind of surprised at how much I enjoyed that. But you are correct. I love this artwork.
The
And
artwork's
I can't wait to
incredible.
see what the finalized artwork looks like on his cards.
I don't know if you remember this. You first asked me what was my impressions of Spirit Island, and I talked about choices.
Yes.
This spirit has a ton of choices. Well,
He does.
One of the special rules, slowly unfolding plague. When disease would prevent a build on a board with your presence, you can let the build happen.
Yep.
Removing no disease, but you generate fear instead.
One of the coolest things about these token users, one of the reasons why I love them, I know that you were talking about how you really like these token users, and I do as well.
I do.
Really do like these token users for a lot of reasons. I briefly talked about the identity acceptance. And what I meant by that was just, well, there's just yet additional things where, yes, other people can use them, but I can really use this thing. How? Why? Look at every one of the characters that uses a token. They can use that token in a way that somebody else can't. Naturally, anyway. I know that you can find cards that maybe allow you to do so.
That's not the point.
But naturally, who does damage with Wilds tokens? Nobody. Wilds tokens doesn't do damage, naturally. Wild tokens prevents exploration.
Yeah.
But guess what? Keeper can use his as damage with Sacrosanct Wilderness. What about disease? Doesn't it only stop building?
They don't do damage.
But if you're this guy, you can have the choice of preventing building, or you can let it do damage.
I also like when your presence is destroyed by anything except a spirit effect.
Not so readily vanquished.
Oh, so, okay, you never like losing presence in a game. It actually took me a long time, and we talked about when I was playing Finder, like, it's not the worst thing. I still don't like it, losing presence. Yeah. Here, there's a benefit to it. I don't know. There's almost like a parting gift.
Yeah.
In a way. When you lose a presence or it's destroyed, had one disease in the place where each presence was destroyed.
Yeah.
Huge, I think.
I think that's
And then you
so
can turn
great.
around and use that for damage or fear.
It perfectly, to me, encapsulates the idea of counterattacking, of vengeance. Because that's what he is all about.
Yes.
He is all about payback.
Yeah.
And I feel as if that really, really, truly, actually encapsulates that very well. I really think that it's thematic. I love the way that works out. It really feels as if, well, you got me here, but I have the last laugh.
I like the thematics where he has to target lands with people, like buildings. Because it makes sense. Disease, like where else do we get disease
This is
from?
someone who runs into the fire.
Yes.
Not runs away from it.
Because he is disease. He spreads within the town, city.
This is a guy who is a pivotal, critical member of Team Health, Fire, and Brimstone.
Yeah.
And just for the sake of reminder, that is Vengeance as a Burning Plague, Volcano Looming High, Stones Unyielding Defiance, and Heart of the Wildfire. Because that's team, we don't care about Blight. I mean, yes, they do, but like, we can survive and use Blight.
Blight as Badlands.
Right. And the thing that's really interesting about that is that you treat it like Badlands, but since it's Blight, it's going to be easier to remove than Badlands. Now, we haven't seen everything about Badlands, and I'm still remotely ignorant on kind of how it all works, because I haven't seen all the cards that use it. But we've been told by some that Badlands is easier to place than it is to remove. So this guy uses Blight as if it was Badlands. So you get the effect of Badlands, but it's still a Blight. So any card that removes a Blight can get rid of it, and thus can get rid of a Badlands. Not that it's a true Badlands, but what I mean by that is you can get the effect of Badlands, but you can get the ease of removal of blight.
Yeah.
So
The
that
one
means
thing-
you can kind of have your cake and eat it too.
I kind of wanted to put Vengeance higher. The artwork's so cool, and
Yeah.
the gameplay, I think, is going to be so fun.
Yeah.
There's damage to Dahan, one of his innates does.
Yeah.
And that kind of is like, ooh, I like Dahan. I like utilizing them. I like building an army. That's one of the things that kind of held it back where, Vengeance as a Burning Plague is doing damage to everyone. He's infecting the whole city. And everyone in that land. And it makes sense. No, it makes sense thematically.
It makes a lot of sense.
But it's just
He's not really a Dahan user.
No.
I feel as if you could make it work. I feel as if you can make it work if you tone down the damage aspect on him. I feel as if this guy could be an aggressive disease guy or a more passively defensive disease guy.
Okay.
And maybe you can walk that fence.
And I like those options. I like choices.
And so the thing is if there's a lot of blight on the land and you are nearing the blight threshold, if you are nearing the blight threshold, I would say stop using disease for damage. And I would say use it for stopping build. And then find other ways
Well, that's what's cool about them.
Yeah.
You have the choice to.
You have that choice. I really think that's cool. I really do think that's
So
awesome.
that's my, 6, right?
That is number 6, the middle of the pack. Alrighty, now we are getting into the top 5.
We're getting close.
So this is starting to get pretty intense. I really am kind of shocked and whelmed by how much I'm enjoying this reveal of what you have on
Each
your
one.
list.
It's really cool.
I'm really excited to see what your next one is. I'm kind of impressed. I'm kind of surprised at how excited I am to see what your next one is and see what your next one is.
I've been surprised with every one of yours, actually.
Yeah, it's really cool. Anyway, so number 5.
For me,
What do you got?
Fractured Days Split the Sky.
Really?
Ooh.
I kind of felt...
Higher?
Talk about it. Talk about
Okay.
it.
So, again, this list is super, 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 super hard.
And subjective.
And subjective. And so I think this is a really high point, number 5. I think we're getting into the really meat and potatoes.
Yeah.
There's no slight on Fractured Days.
No. Now that we're in the top 5, we don't have to defend people by like, no, I do want to play
No,
as
I
him.
like them, I promise.
Right.
I think this spirit is wholly unique and totally different than anyone else.
Oh, goodness. I completely agree.
And also, none of you know this, but I like playing support characters in like MOBA games or online or something.
Sure.
In Overwatch, I'll play a healer or something to that effect. So when I saw Fractured Days Split the Sky, I kind of saw bits of that.
Yeah.
So I couldn't find any cards. I don't know if you could.
Nope.
On the spirits.
There are yet 2 characters that I have only the boards. And
Okay.
That is it. Those characters are Shroud of Silent Mist and Fractured Days Split the Sky.
Which is interesting. We don't have those player cards, and they aren't mentioned yet in our list.
I was going to say, neither of those have been
I mean, they just got mentioned for me, but
right now is the first time. We've gone through,
and that's
what?
how unique and cool, at
Yeah.
least, Fractured
Okay.
Days.
This guy is also in the top 3 for artwork. Oh, guys,
An
look
Eclipse?
at this dude.
Is this an Eclipse?
Is this spirit the spirit of Eclipse? Guys, this dude looks like the sky is a mirror that is splintering and shattering into many fragments as all of these different realities combine and coalesce in one intersection and are shattering, splintering fragments of possibility into existence. This artwork looks like glass. It looks like the sky is shattering, and space, the infinite space, is behind it. And
It looks so cool.
It's so cool. Go ahead and Google Fractured Days Split the Sky. Okay, here's your homework, guys. Look at the artwork for Starlight Seeks His Form, Vengeance has a Burning Plague, and Fractured Days Split the Sky. It really is good. I don't know who did the artwork for those last 2 that I just mentioned, but they deserve a commendation.
Mm-hmm.
To me, this one really sticks out just on artwork alone. Even before I knew what this guy could do, I saw this and I was just...
Grabs your attention.
Whoa!
Yeah.
What in the world is this?
And introduces time as something to
Right.
spend.
A time
What does that
spirit?
mean? So I'm trying to think of like, it's got to use the card somehow. Because in the
It
special
seems
rules,
so high and lofty.
when you gain 1 time, put 1 of your presents here from your track.
Right, but even on the onset, we had a fire guy, we had a water guy, we had a plant dude, we had a beast guy, we had a tree guy. What else could there be? What else could there be? time? Whoa.
So how that's
Like,
utilized, obviously we don't know all the powers, but I love this where you can go through the discard deck.
that is
of the major
so
and minor
cool. I remember
power.
when I brought that up to you and you were like, whoa,
It was
wait
something
a
I'd
minute.
never heard of. And we were discussing this, but if, say, something's happening next turn that you
Yeah.
know we need defense or we need destruction here, we need
Yeah.
to push something, use your growth, go through the discard deck, and
That
find
is
it.
easily, for me, in my opinion, and I'm saying this with the understanding that I have not seen his cards, but looking at his board, that might be one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yes.
When you grab a new card,
You grab it from the discard pile.
it's your going back in time. It makes so much sense.
it makes so much sense, but mechanically, how useful that is, guys, is the discard pile is something you know what's in there. Someone passed up something. Oh, I really like that card. Oh, I really like
It
this
didn't have
card.
my elements,
It's
guys.
It's not as random.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Look at what this guy does. He discards cards from that deck all the time. All the time.
Days that never were.
After you gain a power card from the minor or major power deck, discard the top 3 cards of that deck. Which means you are cycling these decks much quicker. That alone means that this guy can be very team Buffy. This guy looks like he's one of the best team helpers out there. With the version I have on my screen here, it does not show the summary of his powers, but I am guessing that his utility is quite high.
I think so.
I'm guessing
100%.
it will be.
Because we haven't even talked about the mini lightning's boon that he has.
Oh, I know. So anyway, back to my point. Even just with Days That Never Were, this guy is very team buffing helpful.
Yeah.
Why? Because what if you found someone's ultimate in the deck? And really quick, I'm going to come in here and describe a term I just used. I just used the term someone's ultimate. Yes, in this game, you can get new major powers. And these major powers have elemental thresholds. When I say the term a character's ultimate, what I'm describing is a major power that is right in line with a specific character's elements.
Mm-hmm.
Now, sometimes you can tell that a card was totally meant for somebody. No, it is not exclusive to that character. Anyone can find this card and anyone can use it, and perhaps anyone can go and hit its elemental thresholds. But when you look at Cleansing Floods, well, the artwork has River on it.
Yeah.
And look at the elements. They're elements that River definitely would have. So when I saw this, I noticed that to me there was a theme that spirits in this game had ultimates in the major power deck. And they had other cards that really basically could have been in their starting hand and it would have made perfect sense.
Right.
The elements work exactly, not a single one wasted for them. Right up their alley. So just, dear listeners, from here on out, when you hear me say the term ultimate, there are a slew of cards that I deem as a character's ultimate. The Jungle Hungers and Entwined Power, to me, I consider as Green's ultimate. Are they literally? No. Ultimates is not something that is said so under such verbiage in the rulebook. But what I mean by that is Jungle Hungers uses Moon and Plant, which is what he uses.
Green also uses water.
So the reason why I believe those to be his ultimates is because each of those by themselves represents one side that Rampant Green represents. He has a helpful supporting version of himself, which would be the one that includes water with Plant.
Nice.
So Jungle Hungers uses the Moon and Plant side of Rampant Green, whereas Entwined Power uses the water and plant version of that guy. And it makes sense to me. So Tsunami, that's an ocean card. Talons of Lightning, boy, I wonder who that is.
It's in the name.
Sweep into the Sea, boy, that's an ocean card. You guys get the idea. Volcanic Eruption, I wonder who that could be for. Pillar of Living Flame, pretty sure that's Wildfire. Paralyzing Fright? Oh, I don't know. Nightmare is literally on the card.
Yeah.
Infinite Vitality, Indomitable Claim. These ones are a little bit more obscure, but to me, that's Earth. So, you guys get what I'm saying. Dissolve the Bonds of Kinship? That's totally Trickster. Blazing Renewal? That is totally Wildfire. My point being is...
No, it's
I'll get off my thing, because I interrupted you when you said, hey, when we discard cards, I found someone's ultimate in the deck. Really, man? Oh, I can't get it now because it's in the discard pile. Well, Fractured Days Split the Sky, he cycles the deck faster so that it will get shuffled in.
And you might be able to get it again.
And here's another thing. Visions of a Shifting Future. You can go and...
You can not only look in the past, you can look to the future. And you can flip over the event deck.
Oh, no, that's not what it is. You can shuffle the discard pile back into the deck. Which means, quick, there's a higher chance that you'll get your card again if you keep searching for it.
Oh, it's, again, so team-friendly.
And then the other part that's really cool is you can get something you need really easily. Hey guys, what do we need? We need blight removal. Okay, well let me just go search through this pile of 30 cards. Flip, 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 flip. Oh, here's one. Got it. Cool. Sweet. Hey, is there a way I can give you cards? Well, let me go find Entwined Power.
Yeah.
Flip, flip, flip,
there
flip,
it
flip,
is.
flip. There it is. Got it. All right, now that I have Entwined Power, what card do you need? I need this one. Okay. Flip, 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 flip. Got it. Now I play Entwined Power. Now I grab the other card.
I wonder
it's
if
yours.
He's maxed out utility.
Maybe, and I really want to see what he can do.
I know, I want to see the
with his
cards.
So now I will stop talking because I completely just kind of
No, it's because it's such a cool spirit. I wanted to say that I think the slow power fast, again, makes sense with the whole time aspect.
Slip the flow of time.
But it's so... I mean, how many times do we ask Lightning when we play with Lightning, hey, do you have Lightning's Boon?
Hey, do you have Lightning's Boon?
We need
hey,
it.
Do you have
It's like,
Lightning's
no,
Boon?
I can't keep reclaiming. So this person doesn't need to reclaim that. As long as you have 3 moon and an air, you can make someone's power fast.
Right.
And that's huge, of like doing
but
damage.
that's not all it does.
What?
No, it does more than just that. That's just 1/3.
Oh, right.
It does more, so much more
Oh,
than
it
that.
does so much more. Target spirit may claim a power card from the discard or played cards. And then the top thing, target spirit may place an additional power card by paying its cost.
And powers that get repeated are incredibly useful. Seriously.
Anytime you make a spirit stronger, it helps out the game. And
Yep.
the more card plays, the better. And I like Visions of Shifting Future, where you can look into the future.
I love the names of all of these abilities.
Yeah.
Seriously, for so many characters.
And it makes
They're
sense.
so cool.
You get to look into the Invader deck and the Event deck and be like, guys, this is what's happening.
But Fragments of Shattered Time, Days That Never Were,
Yeah.
Slip the Flow of Time, Visions of a Shifting
this guy was
Future.
really cool to me.
This guy was seriously super
And I
awesome.
can't wait to know the cards.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I
they all
cannot
make
wait.
sense, I'm sure.
Yep, I cannot wait.
But yeah, that's my number 5.
Alrighty, so now we are on to my number 5. Fractured Days Split the Sky.
Are you serious? Are you just doing that?
I am dead serious.
Wow.
One of the reasons why I went on such a big tangent was because this is also my number 5.
Yeah.
So, this guy, oh my goodness.
So
Let's
cool.
start the whole conversation over.
No.
The reason that he talked about and I talked about are all the same. Seriously. We were warned that this guy doesn't touch the surface of Spirit Island very often. But I'm so interested to see how his manipulations of the decks and how he can go and assist others in crazy ways. Maybe he's not doing a whole lot himself, but he's empowering and enabling other people so much that it might just break even.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, it might even make it OP.
Yeah.
Maybe not OP, but like it's so strong that it stands for itself as a valid member of the team. Other things that this guy brings to the table, we've seen people that can look at the Fear deck before. We've seen Shifting Memory can do it, and we've seen that Nightmare can do it. This guy can look at some cards that are upcoming, but he can look at the Event deck or the Invader deck.
Huge.
Which is really interesting. Now, how it works is that he looks at the top card of either of these two decks, and then you replace it, and then shuffle the top 2 of that deck. So, you don't know exactly which one it is, you know what one of them is. This is his Visions of a Shifting Future innate power. The second level is, instead of replacing and shuffling the top 2 like I just described, you may put the card you looked at the bottom of the deck. So, that means that even if you don't know what the other one is, the one that you saw, you can be like, nope, don't want that one.
Especially-
if we find that farming card,
Especially if it's an event that we hate.
if the farmers seek the Dahan for 8 or whatever, just nope. You know how much we hate
It could
that.
be game saving.
So, that could be clutch. What does this guy bring new to the table? Oh, I don't know. Literally everything he does.
Right.
Like, he has an additional resource. The only other character we've seen with an additional resource like that is Serpent, with the limitation he has on his presence that he can put on the board, and he has to absorb people. This guy, he has time, and each presence on this ability represents 1 time. So his presence represent a time for the purposes of his board, and there are instructions for your cards. Many of his powers require time as an additional cost. So whenever you would gain a time, you put one of your presents on his board from your presence track. And when you spend time, you return it to a track. And if you don't have any free spaces, destroy it. This means this guy accesses his tech trees in different spots. And to uphold the time-space continuum, he has to put it back. Or at least that's the feeling I get when I see this guy. So obviously you are going to cover up a low-numbered card. A low-numbered space. But what a unique thing. We've never seen somebody
interact with their card play track and energy tracks like this before.
He can cheat count and go through time and access his tech tree at a different spot, and then he has to repair that continuum by putting it back. This is someone who can go through the discard pile and shuffle the discards back into the decks. This is somebody who can go and look at the invader decks or the event decks. Nobody can do that. And on top of that, this is someone who can go and makes a slow power fast. This is someone who can make other players reclaim their power cards, and he can make other people repeat power cards. Yeah. Those last three things are things that we've seen before, but the other things are something we've never seen before. And that is just so awesome. What's really cool is that each one of his growth options, he has 3, or at least the version of Fractured Days that I'm looking at right now in this unfinalized version has 3 growth options, and each one of them has an element to it. One has air, one has moon, and one has sun. And what's really interesting is that all of his innates have those 3. Which means that you can figure out what you're going to do and how you can be helpful to your team
based on the
by
growth.
Which growth option you picked. And so it's like as time goes by, you can be each one of those. You can be the moon. You can be the sun. You can be the air. This guy is very cosmic. When I was looking at all of these spirits for Jagged Earth, I was thinking of all these cool team combinations that we can have.
Right.
And I thought of one called Team Cosmic. And Team Cosmic would probably be Fractured Days, Finder Paths Unseen, and Starlight. It's a team of 3 individuals.
Okay.
And the reason why I have Finder there is because he has portals that can teleport. And that's pretty cosmic, I think. So Team Cosmic is a team of 3 with Fractured Days, Starlight, and Finder, in my opinion. Or if you want to do Fractured Days and Starlight, that's like Team Space exclusively. Boy, that might be a tough game. Because like I said, I don't know how this guy is going to deal with other cards. He has 3 card play and 4 energy. That's kind of on the lower end,
It
guys.
is.
But look at how you are affecting the board in the method and venue of helping your friends. You don't necessarily act on the board a whole lot. You act by enabling your friends to do their job better, and in that way, you are doing something on the board. Not that you did it, but you are acting through your friend because they are doing more because of you. So that is really awesome. And we don't have a whole lot of utility characters. We only have 1 with Serpent, and now we're getting 2 extras. 1 in the form of Shifting Memory, and 2 here in Fractured Days.
Was it hard for you not to put Fractured Days higher? Because that was a struggle for me.
These 2, I feel as if of all the people, these probably
are the 2 most interchangeable ones on my list.
Because you'll notice for me, Fractured Days and Starlight were both 5 and 6.
Yeah.
So they could have been pretty interchangeable. But I like the way that both of us used our number 6 spot. I feel as if we both used it very fairly.
Mm-hmm.
I used mine as Starlight because since he's the most flexible, his capacity for success and failure are just as likely. For you, you said that you put Vengeance in the middle because he can be as offensive as he can be defensive.
Right.
And so this guy can go both of those extremes he can kind of get access to, which is really cool. I really feel as if that was pretty thematic on our part. I think that's pretty cool. So what made him higher? Well, the fairness of keeping Starlight perfectly in the middle made sense to me.
Okay.
And Fractured Days is someone who brings just as many new things to the table without the open-ended
what do I do confusion
as Starlight. Since he actually is a non-flexible spirit, when I mean that, like, Starlight can be anything. Since he's an actual spirit with a specific gameplay style, that's not someone who I have to worry about the consistency issue. And I briefly spoke last episode about the consistency issue with me.
Yeah.
So this guy just barely edged out Starlight. And like we said, with all the clarifications, when we actually get to play this guy and play all these people,
we're gonna love it.
Shifting Memory could be my favorite. Who knows?
Who knows?
I doubt it, but I think
Probably not.
Don't worry, Shifting Memory. I think you're cool.
We love you. I wonder what board presence will be like for Fractured Days, because you kind of want to use your energy.
They made comments saying that this guy may have the least board presence of all the spirits.
Like, it might not even look like you're on the board.
That's so different than how the game
is
played.
It's so different, and it also worries me. Because if you are completely wiped from the board, isn't that a lose condition? You know?
Yeah, it is a lose condition.
So
you gotta have some presence on the board, but you want to have your time.
Right, you need to
spend.
have your time. Hey!
Yeah.
So really quick, I'm curious, where does he start? Put 3 on your starting board, 1 in the highest numbered land with 1 Dahan, and 2 in the highest numbered land without Dahan. Then discard the top 3 cards of the minor major power deck. So he actually starts with 3. That's actually a lot.
It is.
So ironically, this guy starts off with more than most people get as far as starting. That's interesting. But here's the thing about someone who starts off with a lot of presence, which is everyone in the game has 13 presence. But depending on how much you start with, that means how long it takes to upgrade is different. Mm-hmm. Serpent starts with 1. So he has 12 presence to get through before he's fully upgraded.
Most people have to upgrade 10.
This guy only has to worry about 10.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He has to do 10. Most people have to do 11.
Right. So how is this guy going to combo with so many people? How is he going to do with range? Because from what I can tell, he doesn't have any land targeting powers.
He doesn't.
Look at his nates. They target people, not lands. What about his cards? I don't know. I'm so curious about this guy. I'm very curious. In the same way that Starlight...
That's what also kept him from being higher for me.
Right.
I don't know the cards.
Mystery.
Still the mystery.
And I completely agree with that. If I had the cards, I might be able to go and figure out exactly where this guy would fit on my list better. But just for instance, Starlight only has a single card that's a land targeting power. And all of his land targeting stuff pretty much comes from his innates. But it's within Starlight's gameplay style to find a new strategy and find new cards and then base your strategy off of what you found. Mm-hmm. So, all right, we really went late on this one, but that's totally fine. I really enjoyed going through these lists. And so we are now done with 5, which means our top 4 remain. We have our bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. So this is going to be super exciting. Honestly, one of the cool things about this list, there are fun things to discover at every point. Who's the caboose? Who's the end? What happened to the middle?
Who's left?
Who's, so...
Do you want to go who's left for us?
I'll let other people use the process of elimination.
They'll figure it out.
Because then I'm going to start getting in my head, and I still want as much of this to be a mystery as possible.
Gotcha.
So until next time, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode, because me listening to John here, even on the other side of this table, I felt like I can be listening in as an audience member, and I was intrigued just to hear what his was.
Back at you. It's been fun.
So, this is really cool. I love this kind of discussion, and this is what I crave for when I look for Spirit Island content online that I don't find anywhere else. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this too. I love y'all. Stay healthy out there. Play more games. Play Spirit Island. Let me know how it was, and stay active in the comments.
See you guys.
So, bye! Thank you for listening to this episode of the Kindred Spirit Podcast. We appreciate you taking the time to do so. Feel free to visit us on our Instagram and Facebook page. You can find me on our Facebook page at The Kindred Spirit Podcast. To get a hold of John, check out our Instagram page at TheKSP123. We look forward to hearing from you and seeing you in future episodes.